Welcome back, everyone. It is Michael here with Offshore Citizen. Today I'm going to continue talking a little bit about types of companies. We've got some other videos on this. In particular, today we're going to discuss what is an s-corp. Okay. Now, an s-corp is a legal entity within the U.S. Let's loosely go with that definition. So it's differentiated from an LLC or a C-corp, and there's a number of other different corporate forms available as well. These are the three that you're probably most commonly going to hear about, as well as perhaps a partnership. Okay, an S-corp is very often the best legal structure for a sole trader who is American. Okay, so foreigners cannot own S-corps. All right, so while foreigners can own LLCs or C-corps, they cannot own S-corps. All right, so this is only applicable for Americans. And an S-corp has the characteristic of, from a tax perspective, being what we call a disregarded entity. Okay, so what this means is that it doesn't have its own tax return. It doesn't have its own income from a tax standpoint. Okay, so although it offers the liability protection, right? So the difference between you could operate as a sole proprietor or a sole trader, or you could have an S-corp. The difference is the S-corp is going to provide you, at least in theory, some measure of liability protection. Now, in practice, if you're in a situation where you're the only person, like say you're a solopreneur, a digital nomad, something like this, in practice, that won't be the case. Or maybe it won't. It's not that it won't be the case. It's less likely to be the case. So you may be able to benefit from things such as, having the credit protection there, meaning that if there's a loan might be to a company, and so any sort of reporting, or if you fail to make a payment or something like that, that may get reported against the S-corp rather than the individual, maybe, depending on how it's set up. But by and large, if you're the only person, it's quite easy to demonstrate that you're the person who's responsible, and so if something went wrong, it's on you. Okay, so that's a little bit of a nuance there. So yeah, generally speaking, this is probably the best. And again, there's always different cases, right? So you have to look case by case and see what applies to you. And if you've got questions, please reach out to us. You can also subscribe to our channel and watch a bunch of other videos on the subject. Please do that. And like this video too, share it with your friends, whatever. But or ask questions in the comments. Anyway, so you may find that there might be a case where having a C-corp makes sense. You may find that there's a case where having an LLC makes sense. But by and large, there's some reasons in terms of how payroll tax works, etc. that usually it's most efficient for a sole trader to operate through an S-corp. Okay, and that will vary. Especially, it used to vary quite a bit when you were talking about being set up if you were traveling around the world and your company was making money and things like this. But usually that's the case, right? So just as a general rule of thumb, when you're going to start your research, that would be where I would start looking as an American. Okay, again, as a foreigner, it doesn't apply. So how does this work from a tax standpoint? Well, how it works is if you have a C-corp, what happens is the company gets taxed and you get taxed separately. In the case of an S-corp, whatever money the company makes is money that you make as an individual. So it just gets added to your tax return. So let's say that you're working a job, okay? Maybe you're making $100,000 a year, okay? And then the S-corp is, kind of your side business, and it's earning another $100,000 a year. So it's not like the S-corp gets treated as one individual and it's taxed on that 100, and you're treated as another individual and you're taxed on your 100. No, the 100,000 that the company makes is part of your income, and these get taxed collectively. Okay, you just have a single tax return, and you could have, in theory, a bunch of S-corps, and they would all get taxed collectively. You're the only taxpayer. Okay, so that's pretty much the consequences. Now, why is this beneficial? Well, there's a couple things. First of all, there are some benefits in terms of how flow-through taxation is treated under the new, calling them new, it's 2020 now, and it came in at the end of 2017. But when the Trump tax reforms came in, they gave some favorable treatment, provided you're within certain criteria. And again, reach out to us if you have questions about that, or make a comment below. If you go through that process, then you're generally going to be in a situation where your tax treatment is favorable. Okay, so it's usually, for a lot of people, going to result in less tax than paying tax at the corporate level and then paying out a dividend. That's ultimately what it comes down to. Okay, so anyway, I hope that's helpful. I hope it gives you a little bit of a sense. Again, an S-corp, very easy to form. You can form it in any state. It's going to treat it so that there's no tax at the corporate level. The tax just flows through to you, so you just pay your normal taxes. It, to some extent, makes things simpler to maintain, right? So that's beneficial to you. And it has some degree of liability protection. It could be more if you have a real substance behind the business, then that would work. And it would just be, it's really for a sole trader, hence the S. Okay. Anyway, hope that helps. If you have questions, you can visit our website, www.offshorecapitalist.com, www.offshorecitizen.net. We're happy to help you form companies. We're happy to help you open bank accounts, to give you advice about what it is that's best for your individual situation, help with residency or payment processing or anything like that. And I'm going to look forward to seeing you guys on the next video.